January and February are the 2 months every year where I watch the least amount of movies, but I might have found one of my new favorite trilogies. What's going on, guys? I'm Chris and welcome back to another video. So today I'm doing a tier list ranking of all the movies I watched in the month of February. This includes some new releases and some films I've seen for the first time that are older, as well as some good old-fashioned rewatches. Before I get into this though, be sure to hit that like button and comment down below your favorite movie that you watched in the month of February. Subscribe and hit that notification bell to help me reach my goal of 100,000 subscribers here on the channel. It means a lot. I am so close to making that final push. And as always, go show some love to the Unusual Couple podcast for weekly episodes with myself and my girlfriend Cam. We have tons of fun with it over there. Also, check out my Patreon link down below. I'm rewatching Stranger Things over there and doing commentary tracks. I'm looking to do commentary tracks for other movies and TV shows that I love, as well as first-time watches. Got some exclusive live Q&As coming soon, so exciting things are happening on Patreon. Your support would mean the world over there, so be sure to give it a look. Without further ado, let's dive into this tier list. Alright, so the tiers I have today are the best, really good, solid, meh, and the worst. One movie will go in the top tier, one movie will go in the bottom tier, and the bottom is pretty self-explanatory because I'm starting off with it. It's Madam Web. It's the worst movie I watched last month. And this movie never really stood a chance, let's be honest. It's from Sony, a company who doesn't really know what they're doing with their live-action Spider-Man spin-off villainverse, whatever the hell you even want to call it. And this movie was a train wreck. No one wanted to be on set, and you could tell. There was no passion involved, and whatever the movie once was became something entirely different due to studio interference and various rewrites. I mean, I honestly was confused as a viewer, so I imagine people filming it were like, what are we even making right now? It's a lifeless movie, and frankly, it was just put out to try and make some money by Sony, but even then, no one wanted this, and it was a disaster. Actually, a disgrace. Easily the worst movie I watched last month, making it the worst on this tier. Next, we've got 21 Jump Street. I adore this movie. In fact, it is one of my favorite comedy films of all time. It's not only a comfort movie to me, but I think that it's really just super rewatchable. It's got really great development for the main two characters, Jenko and Schmidt, but aside from that, I can quote this movie front to back. The supporting cast is stacked. Like, we don't really get ensemble comedies like this anymore, so Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill carry the movie, right? But then you've got Brie Larson, Dave Franco, Ice Cube, Dakota Johnson is even in here in a minor role. It's star-studded. Hell, even Johnny Depp makes a cameo appearance. This movie rules, and it knows exactly what it is. It's self-aware, it's a remake of that original show, which I never watched, but 21 Jump Street is like a comedy film that sort of defined my generation. Like, both 21 and 22, my whole entire high school loved, growing up. These were the comedy films, and honestly, as crazy as this is actually going in the best. This is a 5 out of 5 movie for me. It's one of my favorite comedies. Rob Riggle also has a supporting role here as the gym teacher. I mean, I find myself laughing hysterically from start to finish. It's just a comfort movie to me, and those are some of my favorite types of films. So 21 Jump Street, the best movie I watched last month. Funny how we started with the top two and now we're just filling in the rest. I bet you didn't expect that. There's a little plot twist for you guys. Next we got Newsies. This is not the Christian Bale film. This is the recording of the original Broadway play. Now Newsies was on Broadway and then the original cast went their separate ways, but they came back for like a 3-night only event. This is the recorded version of that is on Disney+. Jeremy Jordan is in the lead role as Jack, and my goodness, can he sing. In fact, this production is just brilliant. I love musical theater. It's something that I kind of warmed up to over the years. There was a point in time where I was like, oh, I can't like that stuff. I'm a dude. We're all like that when we're 10 years old at some point. But then I had an awakening and I was like, no, this is badass. I love Hamilton, Newsies, the soundtrack to Dear Evan Hansen. And then you got, films like Les Mis and Sweeney Todd that really warmed me up to all this. And I've become a musical guy over the years, and I'm proud of that. Newsies was awesome. It's my girlfriend's favorite musical, and I'd seen parts of it over the years, but I'd never actually given my time to this production. And boy, was I glad to do that, because now I can see the big picture. I'd listened to certain songs out of context, but now that I've seen the actual production, I respect it even more. It's going in the really good tier. It's one of the stronger musicals I've ever seen. Hamilton is one that I listen to in my car all the time. Newsies is in that conversation. It's in my Mount Rushmore of favorite musical adaptations, probably. But Newsies is up there. If you guys are into musicals at all, or Broadway, or theater, give it a go. It's on Disney+. Highly recommend. I'm sure a lot of you guys have already seen it though, because it is very popular for a reason. Next we've got How to Train Your Dragon. I think I'm actually going to have to make a switch mid-video. So we've got another plot twist. I'm keeping you guys on your toes. I'm putting this at the top of the best, and I'm actually going to move 21 Jump Street down to just really good. Now technically, I gave How to Train Your Dragon 4.5 out of 5 stars the first time I watched it. and 21 Jump Street I gave 5 out of 5 stars. But I don't really care about that. Those are meaningless numbers. As it stands right now, How to Train Your Dragon has continued to climb in my ranking. It has not escaped my mind ever since I watched it. In fact, it is the best DreamWorks animated film I've seen. I am behind on a lot of DreamWorks films, but it is a hero's journey done perfectly. Over the course of the film, Hiccup and Toothless have this relationship that develops that you don't think is ever going to work out. But then when that score swells and he first flies on Toothless, it gives me chills thinking about it right now. I respect the film even more after having completed the entire trilogy, which we'll talk about the other 2 movies in a second. But How to Train Your Dragon is one that I put off for way too long. People were always telling me, How to Train Your Dragon trilogy, man, it's one of the stronger animated trilogies. This trilogy is spectacular, and man, is the first How to Train Your Dragon such a strong starting point for this story of Hiccup and Toothless, and the development of their relationship over the trilogy just hits right in the feels. It's a beautiful film, it's immersive, the visuals are stunning. Like, there are some shots here that look like pieces of art that you would hang on your wall. It's masterfully made, and that score has not escaped my mind. It's the best movie I watched in the month of February. My favorite might be 21 Jump Street, but it's kind of a fine line between the 2 of them anyway. I wish I could throw them both in the best. But anyway, moving on, we've got Dune. I rewatched Dune for the first time since 2021. Now, for those who don't know, I saw the first Dune twice in theaters. This was in October of 2021. I saw it in an early screening and then another early screening, and I hadn't watched it since then. So we fast forward to 2024, and I was like, let's see, removed from the hype, removed from all the talk of the town, let's see how I feel about this one. And I enjoyed it quite a bit more. I was able to appreciate the character work, the world building, and the story, because I knew that when I rewatched this movie, I was going to see part 2 in less than 24 hours. So my big gripe with the first Dune is that we never got any finality with the story, but I was more forgiving of that on rewatch because I knew I was going to see that the day after I watched this movie. Having seen Dune yet again, I would say in relation to this tier, I'm putting it in the solid tier. It's a solid movie, a strong 4 out of 5, like a 3.75 to 4 out of 5 for me on Letterboxd. I don't really think stars matter, but you get what I'm saying. Dune is a movie where I respect the craftsmanship, but I do realize that it's not one of my all-time favorites like I so desperately want it to be. A lot of people out there, and we'll talk about Dune again in a second, so hold on, but Dune is becoming something that people are like, yes, this is on the scale of Lord of the Rings, it's on the scale of Star Wars, it's on the scale of Harry Potter. I'm not there, I will never be there, but more power to everyone out there who does love these movies like that. I wish I could. They're just held back by pacing issues for me, and this really dense lore that it doesn't fully flesh out to non-book readers, and something like Harry Potter, I'd say more people watched the movies than actually read the books, and it still became this beloved worldwide phenomenon. With Dune, I almost feel like you have to have an understanding of the source material, which holds it back ever so slightly for me. Next, we've got Meet the Parents. Honestly, I was disappointed by this one. My buddy and I were hanging out, and we were like, let's throw on a movie, a comedy, and so we throw on Meet the Parents. Neither of us had seen it. I was familiar with the premise, and I know Meet the Fockers is the sequel. Well, it stars Ben Stiller, it stars Robert De Niro. We expected to laugh quite a bit. We didn't. I found most of the characters to be pretty damn unlikable. It's a mad movie to me. I don't see myself ever going back to this one. I don't see myself exploring the sequels. I just was not engaged at all, and it probably stems from the fact that Ben Stiller was highly unlikable, and De Niro was this over-the-top helicopter parent, which made him highly unlikable. So when there's a point in the film where they try and turn you around on character relationships, and they're like, wait, there's a little turn here, you can warm up to him now, I was like, no. I endured an hour of this movie of everyone being so unlikable and butting heads for no reason. I just can't do it. And so it really took me out of the movie. Next, we've got How to Train Your Dragon 2. I prefer the first film, but How to Train Your Dragon 2 definitely has more action, if that's what you're up for. It's got these big battle sequences with the Alpha Dragon. There's huge reveals about Hiccup's past made. It's got heartbreaking moments. Probably the most devastating moment in the entire trilogy is in the second film. Plus, it gives us Kit Harington, one of the most distinctive voices in Hollywood. If you hear him say one line of dialogue, you're like, oh, that's Kit Harington. That's Jon Snow, baby. I would say How to Train Your Dragon 2 is going right here in the back of really good, because that Newsies production was just spectacular. And then 21 Jump Street's an all-time comedy for me. But man, How to Train Your Dragon 2, really solid. I notice now, I don't know what that is. I guess when I saved the poster, there's some sort of line blocking the poster. But we're in the middle of recording the video. I'm not going to stop now. We'll talk about the last one here in a second, but before we do, I gotta talk about Dune Part 2. I picked the ugly poster on purpose just because why are we throwing all those heads on sand? I don't get it. But anyway, Dune Part 2 is currently, I don't even know where it stands, like the highest rated movie ever made by a lot of people. Like, screw The Godfather, screw Shawshank, screw The Dark Knight, screw every movie that's ever made. This is just God to a lot of people. I don't stand with that. Now, I know what I just said probably makes it sound like I hate the movie. I really did think it was a solid watch. I actually prefer the first Dune, though. I'm going to put this in solid. I'm just going behind the first Dune. The reason I'm in the minority on this one is because the movie felt like it was 3.5 hours to me. And structurally speaking, it sort of abandons what is set up early on. We leave our story with Paul and the Fremen, and we go over to this other planet to set up Feyd-Rautha for like 30 minutes, and I was like, wow, feels like we're setting up two different movies, and they're ultimately going to converge. I thought the third act, while epic, undeniably, had a pretty rushed climax, and by the time it ended, I was like, there should be another hour of movie here, which is almost hard to fathom because the movie already felt like it was 3 hours, but it still felt like there were too many loose ends. That's a big critique I have of the first Dune, and Dune Part 2 also felt like it had too many loose ends. I didn't fully buy into the Zendaya and Timothée Chalamet relationship either with Chani and Paul. And so, while I admire the filmmaking, the visionary filmmaking of Denis Villeneuve and the visual effects and the scale and the score from Hans Zimmer, I mean, I could go on and on. Technically, the movie's masterfully made, just like the first Dune. It left too much to be desired by the time the credits rolled, and again, with no official sequel greenlit, that's just a frustrating thing. It happened with the first Dune, it happened with Dune Part 2. I want to love these movies, and I can sit back and respect the craftsmanship because they are undeniably some of the most impressive films made this decade. I just don't love them like I wanted to, and I also don't think they are the best movies ever. It's funny how people are so quick to dismiss what they deemed great prior to something that's now great coming out. In society nowadays, people are always looking to crown the next GOAT. At the end of the day, I have a full review if you want my in-depth thoughts on Dune Part 2. I'm in the minority in terms of not thinking it is a masterpiece. It's a very solid watch, though. And last but not least, we've got How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World, which I actually prefer to the second How to Train Your Dragon. I'm going to put it right here. I'm also going to move this to the back just because it's a musical and it's weird having it compared to films, but just know I admire the hell out of that Newsies film. When it comes to the third How to Train Your Dragon, though, what an emotional journey we go on. It's a beautiful send-off to this trilogy. I was in tears near the end. My girlfriend was bawling near the end. I mean, this is how you end a trilogy on a high note. Hiccup and Toothless have picture-perfect character arcs that are wrapped up here. It ties a nice bow on everyone's story, and every little character gets their time to shine. I was more enamored with the story of Part 3 than the second, which I think might be a hot take, but I don't even know because I've never talked about How to Train Your Dragon on my channel before, actually. But How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World had me in tears. It hit me right in the feels. And as the credits rolled, I was like, people were right. This is a special, special trilogy. And one idea from The Hidden World that really resonated with me was this idea of how change is scary and moving on in life can be difficult. And trust me, I struggle with that. Even relationships with friends evolve over time. But we'll always have those memories to cherish and look back on. And that's something that really has stuck with me ever since finishing this film. It's a movie that reminds me to make the most of every day and not take my friendships or relationship with others for granted. And really and truly, it was a beautiful send-off to this trilogy that cements it as one of the best animated film series out there. So yeah, that does it for my tier list ranking of the movies I watched in February. Yeah, I didn't watch that many movies. I've been watching a lot of TV or just taking a break from media and watching sports and hanging out with friends, so that's where I'm at right now. But yeah, let me know in the comments down below your favorite movie you watched in the month of February. Of course, hit that like button and subscribe and hit that notification bell to help reach my goal of 100,000 subscribers here on the channel. Mean a lot. I am so close. And if you want extra content, check out my Patreon link down below. I'm currently rewatching Stranger Things and doing commentary tracks, but I'm planning to get into other movie and TV show commentary tracks, both first-time watches and rewatches. For $5 a month, you guys can join the Patreon and get access to all that, including exclusive live Q&As, and your support over there would really mean the world, so consider joining the Patreon community. But that's going to do it. Thank you guys, as always, for watching, and until next time, I'll see you guys later.